Welcome to the albums that saved us. This week I'm talking with my old friend, R.A. MacLean. We'll hear R.A. talk about his musical influences, being a DJ, being a rock journalist, the San Diego music scene of the 90s, his time with bands like Deadbolt and Swamp Angel, and then more recently his adventures as a ship's captain sailing the bay and the seas off of the coast of San Francisco, captaining the Anne Bonny. A couple things to keep in mind. R.A. had just gotten over COVID, so his voice was a little rough, so he wanted me to let you know that. But he'll be back stronger than ever. He's doing fine. Don't worry. He's definitely his old self, as you'll hear. It's like you guys were like always. You're like, I mean, you guys were always you.
Oh, me like we're always like the clock is on?
Yeah, you guys were always on. And it's like on and off stage and out in the crowd and moving around and all that.
Yeah, that'd be us. Oh,
All right.
oh yeah. What about F-bombs and stuff?
Yeah, do whatever you want.
I don't know. I'm asking. I don't want to say like fuck or shit or I've softened a bit, but fuck. Go there.
It's all right. It sometimes it flows naturally. I'll warn the kids. I'll warn the kids that it's explicit content.
I'll swear. I'll try to behave.
I'm excited to welcome R.A. MacLean to the albums that saved us. I've known R.A. for quite a time from the band he co-founded known as Deadbolt, Scariest Band in the world. Deadbolt played a Halloween gig at Maricosta College in 89 or 90, and from there I was a fan. And then, of course, they were part of the San Diego music scene of the early 90s that Spin magazine destroyed by calling it the next Seattle. But thanks for coming on, R.A. You're the first in kind of my artist series.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You had to say 89, 90. You couldn't just say I saw them at a Halloween gig once.
Yeah.
But no, you do let the cat out of the bag.
That's right. It's dating us both.
Yeah, Doug, we're off to a great start. Yeah, but it's great to be here, and it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming on. And so we'll get to albums and songs later, but I've got to talk about your musical background for a bit.
I'd say my parents' living room, 1968.
Okay.
And my dad had these albums, and the one that was really cool that I just thought was I just rocked out to was a song by Al Hurt called Cotton Candy.
Okay.
From the album Cotton Candy.
All right.
Which is available on Spotify.
There you go.
I was kind of listening to it. And I was like, hey, it's like, it definitely belongs on the Mad Men soundtrack.
There you go.
It's very cocktailish sound to it.
What were some of the first bands you were into from there?
Yeah, growing up, it was like music-wise, we just listened to like singles. It was like on the radio, AM radio, it was just strictly all the hit singles, and then FM rolled around.
Mm-hmm.
We heard FM singles.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Mighty Met, KMET?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We'd listen to them. That was our exposure to true rock and roll, the Mighty Met. And we'd listen to Paraquat Kelly.
Okay.
Late at night. It'd be just everyone else was listening to at the time, like Fleetwood Mac, Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
I didn't buy many albums. First album I got was probably when I was 14. It was a birthday present. It was Beach Boys' Endless Summer.
Okay.
I know you're seeing like, wait a minute. Beach Boys surf. No. It taught me a lot later on down the road. This isn't like a huge major influence for me. I think the major influences started kicking in when I went to junior college.
Okay.
Went to Palomar College.
Uh-huh.
High school with ashtrays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. At the time.
And I was majoring in telecommunications. And part of that was you had to be a disc jockey at this radio station, KSM 99.
Mm-hmm.
KSM 99 is KSM FM, San Marcos. And
all right.
So it was something I never saw before. It's like alternative rock. This is like around 1981.
Okay.
And I'm like, alternative means it's different. And we played music that was totally not played on AM top 40s or KMET or KLOS. It was just, we played alternative music, English music, and hearing the Pretenders for the first time. And
yeah.
we just looked at the album cover like, oh my God, she's hot.
Yeah.
Some friends of mine got suspended because they played Precious all the way through, and there's an F-bomb in it. And the guy in charge found out. He had a stroke. No, you're out of here. History. And they were tough back then.
Yeah.
But I got exposed to a lot of music that way. And that was the start. That started my musical path, sort of.
You have a musical background in your family. Your cousin, Brian, wrote a lot of songs for Love, including Alone Again or...
Well, the funny thing was I only found out about this 3 years ago. And my father asked me if he remembered his uncle. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, well, do you remember his son? I'm like, no. His name Brian MacLean. You ever heard? He was a musician. I looked him up and I'm like, and the first thing that pops up is Brian MacLean in a video of the Dam's Alone Again. I used to dance to this, at a club. And I'm like, how ironic. It's like my cousin was the one who wrote it. And his sister is, you remember Lone Justice?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Maria McKee.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. To listen to, quote, alternative music, you had to go to a club.
Yeah.
Or a decent club that played it.
Yeah.
But remember Lou's Records in Encinitas?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was the only place to get decent European imports.
Yeah.
But I'd get those, but I'd also pick up the 3 English magazines. There was New Music Express, Melody Maker, and Sounds.
Yep.
And I used to score, they used to have, current copies. I'd score those and go through them and find out what was the latest songs. And, we'd still be behind. We're always behind, the English acts and stuff.
Yeah.
And when MTV came out, we did a little catching up, but not much. Right. Or you had to you watched MTV and go oh, that was a great video.
Yeah.
I got to wait 7 hours to play again. That's okay.
What is it? You were a music editor of a magazine. Tell us about that.
A magazine called Revolt and Style.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I know that one.
It was a great magazine because they say, if you want to write.
Yeah.
If you want to take photos. You want to do, and just you sent it in, did your best. And I sent in 2 reviews and they got printed. And I'm like, wow, I'm a writer and I got printed. This is awesome. But I was really driven as I could get an interview. Because they would get interviews from New York celebrities and stuff, and pictures and just various nightclubs. And I said, you know what? I don't know how, but I bet I can get an interview with Spandau Ballet. And so I just started getting on the phone. You look on an album, what label are they on? So I got on the phone, called them up, told them who I was and who I was writing for. And these guys were like, well, tell you what, send us a copy of the magazine. So I sent him a copy of the magazine, letter of introduction, blah, blah. And I got a phone call from him and said, hey, we love this thing. Can you meet us at the Le Parc Hotel in Los Angeles? And I'm like, I felt like I cracked the Enigma code.
Yeah.
And so, I was dressed nice, nice suit and stuff. Sat down with Steve Norman, who's the sax player, and we had a nice little conversation. I did the interview. It was a great interview. Did the show, and then afterwards it was a huge party. It was a crazy time. I mean, I'm just like, I can't believe I pulled this off.
Nice,
I mean, really, I just no credentials whatsoever. And and it turned out to be, they're like, you got the interview? I'm like, yeah, I got the interview. So I became music editor all of a sudden.
Nice.
And this is where it gets funny because in San Diego, there was only the San Diego Union and us that were doing printed media, the press. And so next thing you know, I'm scoring some pretty good interviews. And, this one friend of mine back east goes, Robert, I need your help. And I'm like, of course, Kim, I'll be happy to help you out. What's going on? She goes, well, I'm trying to get interviews for this band. And she's trying to, I find Kim, who is it? She goes, well, it's this band called The Cure. I'm not sure if you want to talk to him. I'm like, Robert Smith. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I'll see if I can squeeze him in. Okay. So we had a talk with him, and it was a great conversation. Did a lot of interviews, and it was really interesting. It was a really fun time. In fact, I interviewed the keyboard. This is for you, Doug.
All right.
I interviewed the keyboard player of this band called Arcadia.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And we talked for about 45 minutes. Nice person.
Nice guy. Nick Rhodes.
But it's like, and they called me. I was like, we're trying to promote the Arcadia project. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Everything we've talked about, which is interesting because you'll see, like, I listen to Steve Jones a lot on KLOS online. And here's a guy who became a musician in a band, then a solo artist. Then after that, and then he became a writer. He wrote Lonely Boy, which they're making into a motion picture or a 5-part miniseries, one of the two, some Netflix things.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
But, that's the way Steve Jones did it. I did it backwards. I did all the print, the DJing and stuff. And then jumped into a band. And actually, that worked out pretty good because you learned I didn't say I learned all the ins and outs of being in a band, but I had a pretty good head start.
Yeah, I bet.
And some things that helped out later. Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, be cool to your fans.
And that helped out a lot. I think that helped out a lot, much more than people know.
What was your best interview?
Neil Finn, Crowd House, really nice guy.
Okay.
And we talked about songwriting because he really doesn't get his credit in America. He's like, a legend in, Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
But the way he talked about how I wrote the debut album for Crowded House, it was a really good conversation with him. And I saw their first show ever at Yamashiro's in Los Angeles. And there's all this room and it played the album. It was a great set. And and I just casually just walked down with Krista, and Neil Finn just walks right up to me. He goes, "Well, what'd you think?" And I was like, "Oh, it was fucking great."
Yeah.
But it was funny because I got to talk about Split Ends because that was also Split Ends was my first concert.
Okay.
At California Theater, San Diego. A kid who's never really been to a concert before. Del Mar Fair doesn't count.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Split Ends acting crazy. I mean, these guys, it was a very bizarre show. And it was an old building, and like the ceiling was shaking, and it was like snowflakes of the ceiling kept coming down. And he's like, I remember that. I'm like, yeah, I thought the whole ceiling was going to come apart. So we had a good time, good conversation.
But let me flip that question. So what was the worst interview?
Danny Elfman.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, fuck. I fucked that one up so bad.
What happened?
That was embarrassing bad. It was okay. It's like word association. Danny Elfman.
Oingo boingo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I walk into the interview because Danny Elfman, Oingo boingo. Little do I know he's doing all these soundtracks left and right, and I'm like Oingo boingo.
Yeah.
Knights of the Oingo boingo.
Yep.
I just did not want to talk about soundtracks.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Dead Man's Party or something like that. I don't know what, but he wanted to talk about one thing and I want to talk about another thing. It just turned into a complete disaster. And I was like, okay, lesson learned. I always got, that could have been a really good interview.
Let's talk about the 90s San Diego music scene for a bit. You were a big part of it. You already mentioned the Spirit Club, thinking back to Pink Panther, Casbah, etc. So what was that time like for you? Because you were a big part of that scene. There were a handful of bands. You guys all knew each other. I remember every weekend I'd be down at the Casbah or go down to Bodie's. I was never at Spirit Club, but I remember when it was seemed like less than 10 bands and you guys would always play shows together. And then obviously, we already referenced the Spin magazine thing. Then it just exploded. All these bands started coming from LA and saying they were from San Diego. But what was that whole thing like for you? What are some of the memories you have from the 90s San Diego scene?
It was a really wonderful time.
Yeah.
Because venues started popping up just one at a time. The Pink Panther wasn't a nightclub, but it was like ground zero.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time. And then the Casbah popped up, the original Casbah, then Cafe Chabalaba and Megalopolis and Bodie's. And it had nothing to do with the bands. They were just popping up. We played a lot. I mean,
you guys did.
I mean, I found an old diary of mine in my suitcase. I think it was around 92.
Okay.
And I just wrote down like Bodie's, Casbah.
Nice.
Not, and I counted the number of gigs, and I think it was around 101. And there was 1 week where we did 7 days a week gigs. We didn't say no to anything.
Yeah.
Any gig. It's like Spirit on a Monday night. Okay, I'm there. I don't know when the record labels, I think the record labels wanted to get warm from being in Seattle. And they showed up, it started to happen. The A&R reps started showing up. People started getting signed left and right. Cargo, which is pretty sure it's based in San Diego. It was negotiated. And I found out that we had a 3-record contract. Deadbolt was a crazy band. I mean, we did some crazy stuff. Yeah. And I regret none of it, but it's to be musically. How does that translate musically? And I don't think people took us seriously as musicians playing music. It was just weird. It was like Christmas, birthday, 4th of July, all rolled up into one. It was like it was saying to the naysayers,
exactly.
We got signed, suckers. In fact, when we had our CD release party, we're all wearing like black blazers with fur. And we had voodoo dancers and girls dancers and stuff. And I walked on the stage. And I had the CD in my hand, and I'm just like, read and wait. I'm holding it up, read it and wait, suckers. You may ask, or not. It's like, what was the one thing about San Diego music scene that was neat? And I thought about this. The one thing about all the bands, I think all of us had a basic respect for each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, well, I'm not going to play with that guy, or that guy's an SOB, or blah, blah. It never got to that point. And in fact, quite the opposite. A Miniature would do a show.
Yeah.
And then you'd see like John Reese from Rocket, Andrew from Uncle Joe's, me. And you see people, and they're I'm going to say they're supporting him, but it's kind of like, you could call it support, but it's more like, hey, respect, It's like, hey, we're showing up, we're watching them. And they did the same thing for us. And they showed up too. And there was, amongst like this, I'm guessing, dozen bands that just, that got signed and stuff that were in the Casbah circle. They mentioned that in the Casbah bands. It was like, no, there's no Casbah bands. There were San Diego bands. And we all got along great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't recall anyone I didn't get along with. And that's really hard to believe.
Yeah.
I usually do something stupid.
Well, and what you said was from a fan's standpoint is you could really see that too. Like the bands all seem to get along, all seem to support each other. Like I'd go see you guys when you'd be on a bill with like Fluff and Inch and Creedle. Or go see you guys with like
I forgot about
Fluff. Or go see you guys with like Lucy's Fur Coat. And but for me too, it was cool to like, for instance, it's like we talked at plenty of shows. And for me, it would have been like I kind of came from like seeing bigger bands at bigger venues. And then I got into the San Diego scene and started to see these bands super up close. And then hey, that's the bass player from Deadbolt. And so you walk up, he's like, hey, what's up? And you were always cool and you always hung out and you always talked to people. And that was kind of the cool thing too about those bands is you could, I knew plenty of guys from the bands.
I remember one of our first places we played, the Texas Tea House.
Mm.
I think we were told we'd get a 6-pack of beer for playing.
Nice.
I mean, you really did do it for the money. You just did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got maced there once. Another story. But and Henry, who I asked for a beer, and he goes, "Who do you think you are? The fucking who?" That was one of the stories going around. It's like we're accused of being rock stars because we asked for a beer. I'm like, no. That was a fun place. And this drunk guy was causing shit. And I was playing bass. I was right next to the door playing. And Henry got his mace out and just maced the guy. And I remember somebody yelling, "Did you get him?" And I said, "Nobody got me." So things we do for rock and roll.
That's right.
We were very poor at the time.
Okay.
When the band first started out, we were pretty poor. He had 2 electric guitars and I'd play one. He played one. We're so poor we didn't have a second amp.
Okay.
And we were both plugged into one amp and made the most god awful. We kept playing. We kept doing like Thursday nights at the Spirit Club.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was where we honed our skills. That's
Huh.
where well, I learned a lot. And then finally, I discovered that, you know what, we need a bass in this thing. So I saved my money. I got a pseudo Gibson fiddle bass.
Okay.
And an amp of some kind. And so we were then officially a three-piece. You know, they called it's the darker side of rockabilly.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine with me. I mean, to call Deadbolt rockabilly, I think it's ridiculous. It's because I slicked back my hair and I got short and I wear a black leather jacket.
There you go.
It's like I'm wearing black leather jackets for 15, 20 years. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Scariest band in the world, though.
That was just something the sound guy at the Spirit would say. Because we used to walk on with we always walked on. This was my idea. Okay. I said, I can't walk on. I don't want to walk on stage to just like walk on stage, plug in and play. My idea was to like, we should hit the stage with music. And in the old days, we did 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worked for Elvis. Hey,
yeah.
For us. So, you know, we'd walk on to that. And then later on became the Lonely Bull, out in Tijuana Brass.
Yep.
And the sound guy, when it got to the 2001, got to the high point here, ladies and gentlemen, the scariest band in the world, Deadbolt.
All right, so I do have to ask you about my favorite Deadbolt song.
You do have to ask.
Because, I always bring it up. And I used to yell it, and you would tell me to fuck off. Shut up. Fuck off.
Night's still young. You just may get it again.
E. Frank.
One of the first songs we ever wrote. One of the movies that we loved, the three of us lived together.
Yeah.
For a very long time.
At the compound, the Deadbolt compound.
Yeah. Disgraceland. Now, the one movie we loved, it's like, I think we loved it and we were trying to understand it. And that was Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
And like Frank was just, Dennis Hopper's character was just so out to lunch. It's like, I just picture him after he's like inhaling.
Yeah.
He's looking in the back of the car. You're just like me. He would think that was the most funny. I mean, we'd be in tears laughing.
Yeah.
We just played this song and it's just, we wrote this song and then it would get to a quiet part where I'm just doing open E with one hand. And then I just start channeling Frank.
Yeah.
And I would just, the earliest versions, I remember I would start quoting lines from Blue Velvet. I'll send you love letters, man. Straight from my heart, fucker. And at the end, it's like that used to be like the last song in the set, but way back, like our first year, and we'd yell. When you look at when now you're just kind of like, I really say that. Yeah, really. Yeah. We'd all scream, "I'll fuck anything that moves," and then we destroy our kit.
Yeah.
And just we just knock over shit and just I would like just take my bass just by the base of the neck and just and we went through like guitars, like I went through like 3 basses, just smashed them. And one hung at Cafe Chabalaba for a long time, so that was pretty cool. The PBS special on country music. Did you watch that at all?
No. I know of it, though. I want to see it. The Ken Burns.
Oh God, it's good.
Yeah, I've heard.
I wrote down the name, so I wanted to give credits to. There was a Grand Ole Opry guy named Little Jimmy Dickens.
Mm-hmm.
Little Jimmy Dickens, and I was watching it, and he's doing this interview, and he was saying something like, "You may not know who I am at the beginning of this show, but you'll know me at the end of it."
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, "That's it.
Yeah,
that's it." 10 years after I leave the band, I finally get a quote that sums it up perfectly, and it's like that was kind of like the unspoken goal. It's like, you don't know me, you will know me when I'm done.
There's a song too. You don't know me. So what's your favorite Deadbolt? What was your favorite Deadbolt song and album?
Actually, it's one that isn't played much. And that's something that's like, you always hear about people. I need to take that song. I need to take it in the recording studio. I need to re-edit it. I'm like, You had one shot at it, sorry, but it's like there's a song that's off Shrunken Head. I would love to get in the studio and just remix, revamp, like overdub, anything to make it sound better. And that's El Sadistico.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's just basically an instrumental with just some chanting.
Yeah.
But I just I'd love to get a full kit going on that. Instead of just a snare, ride, and kick. But album-wise, Shrunken Head.
Okay.
And it's like you always remember your first time. I don't think people saw how hard we were working to get where we were at that point. We're doing a lot of shows, and then you get home at 2 a.m. and then get up. Then you got to be at work at 7 o'clock. You're like, put me in, coach. All right. If they're handing out a record contract for the award of hardest working band, I mean, we worked hard. It isn't just the songwriting and stuff. I mean, we had played a ton of gigs. Oh, man, we played a lot, and we never said no. We got in trouble once because we double dipped. We did 2 shows in one night, and it was just like an accident. It's like, oh hell. Well, okay. Then we said, well, can we do this one at 7 and we'll do this one at 9? Okay, great. And then certain people found out and they were pissed. And I'm like, it's like, Ari said yes. I couldn't say no. I moved to the Bay Area in 94. I still kept playing and doing vocals. I didn't, to make it crystal clear, I didn't play bass anymore for Deadbolt, but I did vocals for a lot of songs. And I toured. Oh, man, I did 2 or 3 live albums. I know I did 2. Might be a 3rd one. We just don't know.
And weren't you on Tijuana Hit Squad too?
Vocals. I did vocals on every album. Okay. But just I'd fly in, do vocals and help out or whatever for the weekend and fly back out. There's distinct vocals like mine. Well, they're hard to find. But I got to give credits to Third Degree Birds. He did all the bass playing after Tiki Man.
Tijuana Hit Squad. Dad, Why Did My Friends Explode? It's another fave.
Oh yeah, that's like the first. I'm surprised that didn't make Shrunken Head. God, it was during a songwriting burst. We wrote Mrs. Valdez at the same time, so if that ended up on Hit Squad, Dad, Why My Friends Explode. That was a fun one. I always like playing that, and people liked hearing it. So, please.
Well, and I know Swamp Angel's particularly special to you. 4 songs on YouTube: Merkin, Swamp Angel, Voodoo Doll. So is this an album we have to get on eBay or Amazon or what?
If you have the Amazon player, you can download the album. But Amazon's funny. They're like, no, because I found the album, and they're like, no, you can't. You can't have it. Listen to this. It's like the fucking road.
It's my album.
You can't do that. And so I'm fine with that. I don't question it. Yeah. It's out there. If you just seek and you shall find.
All right. So Rule 303, that was the name of the album. So tell us.
Rule.303.
Rule.303.
Rule. I shouldn't have done that. I should have said just Rule 303, but it's like Rule period 303. What does that mean? And the guitarist, Matt House, he's a good guy. He's one of the best tattoo artists on the West Coast. A Swamp Angel was a cannon during the Civil War that fired like 21 rounds and blew up. It was a cannon. Okay. It was in the middle of a swamp Angel. Rule 303, I got from an Australian movie. And I always remember, I love the movie Breaker Moran. I thought it was a really good combination of court drama and tragedy. It was really messed up what happened to these guys. And this guy's like trying to justify shooting prisoners. And he goes, we live by the Rule 303. And then he goes, the guy's like, what? He stands up, and he's like explaining, and he just blurts out, Rule 303, screams it. And then you find out they look at the stock of the gun, and the caliber of the gun they were shooting is a 303 caliber Lee Enfield rifle. So Rule 303 was just to shoot somebody. It's like, what were you trying to say, saying Rule 303? Do you have a deep down hatred and you want to utilize Rule? It's from a fucking movie.
What other Swamp Angel memories stick out for you?
Well, we did about 30 shows, and the drummer, Matt McCobb, I mean, all my time, my prior band, having to deal with a ride, a snare, and a kick.
Yeah.
And first rehearsal at Lennon Studios, Matt brings in this. They're both named Matt, by the way.
Yeah, interesting.
He brings in this huge Gretsch kit. I mean, big bass drum. I mean, like Gene Krupa. And when he set it up, I said, Matt, do you see these drums? You're going to play every single one of them. Because if you got a full kit, you're definitely going to use it. We just started writing songs. We did some covers, and it's such a treat because Matt is truly, he really is an underrated guitarist. He was absolutely, he just shredded. I think, he was somewhere between Dick Dale and Reverend Horton Heat.
Nice.
Just really, which was a nice balance. He shredded, and Matt, he used to play the Stellar Corpses. A funny story about Matt is I was playing a song to warm up, playing from Live at Budokan, Cheap Trick, Ain't That a Shame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the bass line. It's not,
I
wasn't singing. I'm just like, Matt goes, is that Cheap Trick, Ain't That a Shame? Live at Budokan? And I'm like, wow, your stock just went up with me. And it was fun because Matt and I used to talk about music, and it's like we could really talk comfortably about music. And it's not, you don't listen to those guys. It's like we talk about Motorhead. We went in the studio, came out, and did a photo shoot at Fort Point in the city. We released it. But let me say this about Rule 303. I've been involved in X amount of albums, live, record, whatever. Swamp Angel was a fucking masterpiece. I mean, we hit that out of the park. It was best thing I've ever done. It is an absolute, I'm proud as punch of that album. It is absolutely, I mean, the way it went from track to track, it just flowed. It was perfect. My bass a little bright, could have dampened it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, really, if that's my one complaint,
yeah, that's not too bad.
Oh God, it's just such a good album. I don't have any more CDs. I just have it on my iPhone now.
Jeez.
So if you've got a copy of Rule 303, congratulations.
Send it to RA.
This address.
That's right.
Playing live, we could pull it off. I'm not saying the album sounded just like it did live. There was nothing like that. But it just, God, it translated well live. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We tacked on a couple more songs.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff on YouTube is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean that. Thank you.
No, I mean, it's good. It's great stuff. I got to find a copy. If I find it, I'll send it to you. I bet I can find it. All right. So I want to talk about something you sent me to that we talked about early on. So your bass is hanging at the Alameda Bay Area Hall of Fame in the Fireside nightclub. 15...
Well, that's what we kind of jokingly called it. We also called it not the Hard Rock Cafe. I hope I'm saying his name right. Tanoa Stewart. He's a disc jockey around the Bay Area. His production company is top notch, and I hope this COVID crap gets over soon enough. Any reason for him, because he's really done a lot for the Bay Area. He started putting up guitars at the Fireside, and he said, "I'm looking for guitars." And I go, "Have I got a guitar for you?" And I said, "Oh God, yeah." He goes, "I owe you a bunch of drinks." I'm like, no, you don't, because I haven't had a drink in 60 somewhere.
That's right.
But I'm not a quitter.
No, you would no. We don't want that.
Nobody likes a quitter.
Nobody likes a quitter. You wouldn't want to ruin the image.
Right.
So, so the bass, 15 states, 8 countries, opened for Jerry Lee Lewis, recorded the Swamp Angel album, functioning bottle opener, and signed by Dick Dale. So if that bass could talk, what would it say?
It'd say, "You suck."
No.
I could have went somewhere else, but no. I could have stayed home at little Johnny's house, but no. You had to go. You had to stick up. That was like my favorite bass because I did so many crazy things to it. It got pinstriped with a Dios Muerte skull.
Nice.
I'll send you a photo, but it was done on a pool table in Denver, Colorado. After Swamp Angel, we flew out to Denver. We did a show there.
Okay.
And this girl just plopped it on the pool table, just did it, just let it dry. And you can see how often I play. It's because the skull's kind of worn off a bit.
Yeah.
So it has that used look to it. It has my favorite strings, flat wounds, never
Nice.
round wounds, never round wounds, always flat wounds.
Good to know.
And the bottle opener that's near the where you plug in. And the funny thing was, one day I went to get my guitar. You know, you got to adjust the neck and stuff. So I took it to this guy in San Francisco on Potrero Hill, and he puts it on his thing, and he's looking at it, and where he's got to like adjust everything, and he looks at the bottle opener. He goes, points at it. You know, did you do that? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Libby goes, don't do that. Yes, sir. Okay. He's got my bass in his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you say, sir. And then the autograph Dick Dale. Yeah, Dick Dale signed that. That was a crazy. It was a great. Dick Dale did a great set, and I was around for sound check, and I think Mr. Dale wanted to be left alone. But the drummer, my Aunt Barbie, my Uncle Brad, Aunt Barbie, rest in peace. She asked, Robert, the drummer of Dick Dale that you're playing with, and I'm like, you know this? She goes, will you tell him that Barb and Brad from Tustin says hello? I'm like, you know him, the drummer for Dick Dale? Yeah. And so this gets pretty funny. So I go, what's his name? And it's like, Dave. We'll call him Dave. And so I'm like, and he's like putting his kit, he's behind the kit. You can envision he's putting it together.
Exactly.
Similar. I go, hey, Dave. And he goes, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, Barb and Brad from Tustin, I'm their nephew. And he goes, oh, who's that? And then his wife behind me goes, holy shit, it's R.A. MacLean. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, okay. And he's like, hey, come on over. Nice to meet you, man. How's Robert Brad doing? I'm like, oh, they're doing fine, thanks. You know, so we start talking. He was a really nice guy, but just
nice.
Initial, who the fuck are you? I'm just like, but then on top of that, it's like, oh, I could vouch. He's R.A. MacLean of Deadbolt. I didn't move around much, and I mean, really, the music spoke. I mean, I didn't have to go crazy. I just occasional flourish every once in a while, little ole. But they loved it. You know, mission accomplished.
And what about opening for Jerry Lee Lewis? Did you get to talk to him or meet him?
No.
Okay.
No. You don't meet the killer.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He got called the killer for a reason. I'm not sure which version to believe. We played in Amsterdam in his church, and Jerry Lee Lewis played this half of the place, and we played in the other half. And Jerry Lee Lewis, being 80-some-odd years old, went first. And we had total run of the place, but then the stage was empty, just some people milling about. We're up on the upper tier, and Jerry Lee Lewis walks and sits down, and he starts playing the piano. And he's not playing boogie woogie, you know, great balls of fire. He doesn't have his leg propped up or anything like that. He just kind of a guy on a piano. And he was like really playing. I swore I heard George on My Mind. It was just very calm, matter-of-factly. It was really kind of neat watching him play. I think if I said anything like, hey, killer, shoot that somebody.
Yeah, exactly. You might have learned.
I mean, I was going to say anything, but I did crack a joke. I said, I'd like to take time out to thank Jerry Lee Lewis for opening up for us. I thought I was really damn decent up. And you just hear his pin drop. You know, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
Relax.
Yeah, exactly. Like the movie joke.
The people from Amsterdam, they were really cool people.
Cool. I can
Good
imagine.
time.
Yeah. What about opening for the Cramps?
Fillmore, Halloween night, 2000. Deadbolt got spoiled rotten. We pulled up, and these guys just came out of the Fillmore, grabbed our stuff, just hauled it up, and just tossed it on the stage. I'm like, wow, my back and I thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And we lost our drummer, and I'll take another half hour to explain, but we ended up getting Greg Utter of the Swingin' Utters to come in and play drums for us. We were doing sound check and everything. And this guy over the place, are you guys ready? Like, yeah, we're ready. Okay, well, the chef's waiting for you upstairs. And I'm like, of course he is. We just pulled our equipment back and just turned everything off and And there's a guy, and there's like 4 sterno things, and he pulls them up, and he goes, and this is a salmon in a wine sauce, and this is vegetarian gnocchi. I mean, to me, I'm just going, holy mackerel. And to the other guys, like, what is this? I'm like, dude, fucking salmon. So we chowed down, went backstage to our room, and upstairs they got a bigger room and a shower. That was
yeah,
but it's for the cramps.
Yeah, exactly. They need it. Lux needs it.
We did a show, and we did pretty good. Got our equipment off and watched them just blow our dicks off the stage. I mean, we were an afterthought after 30 seconds. I mean, they didn't come to see us, but we were a nice beginning. I thought we did a good job, but it was like, and bye-bye.
And Bonnie, the boat. Tell us a little bit about that. Is that like the love of your life now, or tell us a little bit about the boat.
The boat, Das Boot. I was in a band. I always wanted to be in a rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell I'm getting serious here. I'm not. Well, I can fuck around.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be in a rock and roll band, and this was my passion.
Okay.
It was. I mean, I really busted a chop. And then when that was over, some other things happened. I ended up at a friend of mine's apartment, living there in Potrero Hill.
Okay.
What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, first of all, what are you going to do next that's equals the passion that you just had for something? I joined Swamp Angel, and if there was an album that saved me, it was Swamp Angel.
Okay.
To paraphrase.
Yeah.
Just heard this quote once. And it's like, I know it sounds corny and shit, I know, but it's like sometimes life will give you something called a second chapter.
Okay.
I mean, really, like I thought my music career was done, period. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I made the best album of my career on top of it.
Yeah.
But that made me realize then after Swamp Angel, went by the wayside. Okay, what's next? Let's find your next passion. Well, it didn't pop up for a long time. And that, as well it should. I mean, if you look around for something, chances are you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And I was driving around Vallejo and went by this yacht club, and I took a photo, sent it to my dad. It's because he used to be a racer.
Okay.
And sailboats, and went all over the coast of Southern California. Like, hey, they're calling you. They said they can't start without you. My dad said, you need to join that. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I joined anyways. And the rapport I had with those people, some of the people are really fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're in a yacht club. And they actually made me a member. Like Groucho Marx said, I wouldn't want to join a club that would want me as a member.
Yeah.
But somehow they wanted me, and I really kept to myself, because you tend to do that when you don't have a boat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to get a boat. And through another story that would take another half hour to explain, I got me a sailboat. I got me a racing sailboat. It does a lot of things. Yeah. And it was called Anne Bonny. And Anne Bonny was a psychotic 18th century, 17th century pirate. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
There you go. Fits.
And so I just started like putting her together. So all of a sudden, I'm now a rigger, construction, painter, electrician, plumber, jack of all trades. And, and I'm trying to put this boat together. Yeah. And it was in good shape, but it wasn't ready for racing, let alone sailing. And one thing about the Bay Area, if you've sailed there, San Diego's cake. You just push off. Yeah. You can sail. Here you got to make like a plan. You got to leave at this time because the currents are going this way. Mother Nature will remind you who's in charge.
Yeah.
in San Francisco Bay.
Yeah.
And then I got her going. I took her out a couple times. And then the start of the racing season, hopefully it'll be May this year, but it was it's the Great Vallejo race.
Mm-hmm.
It starts from Angel Island, and you got to go all the way to the Mare Island area. And it's like 21 miles, which by boat, that's quite a haul. That's almost going like from LA to Catalina Island.
Okay.
So I signed up for the race. What do I got to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I got my dad and my brother to crew for me. And I was like the navigator. I said, you guys race it because you guys don't know where you're going. I do. So I know how to get us home. I know how to get to starting gate and stuff. So, and we did absolutely horrible, but we had such a great time.
Yeah.
And the next year, we got to do this again next year. So 2019 rolled around and we raced, and I had a new sail and I knew rigging, everything. And we hauled, but I mean, we're flying, and we almost, not my fault. We almost crashed into like a couple boats.
Okay.
We almost hit the Richmond Bridge and ran aground.
All right.
I mean, we're going like balls of the wall. And we finished, and I told my dad, I said, I want to finish this in less than 5 hours. He's like, There's no way it's going to get done. I'm like, come on, we can do this. And because of Mother Nature does help out every once in a while.
Yeah.
We did it in 3 hours and 29 minutes.
Nice.
I mean, no, 4:29, excuse me, but still less than 5 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was sitting celebratory beer, and I hear, waiting for the results. And the results are in. And I'm looking around because I usually post them on a board. And I'm like, no, they're not. So I kept drinking. My dad's with me and stuff, talking to people. And the results are in. I look, they're still not up. And I'm like, shut up. And the guy says, results, I'm going to kill that guy. So he says, they're online. I'm like, oh, shit. So I get my cell phone. Your division and Bonnie.
Yeah.
I won.
Nice. Wow.
And I was like a clenched fist for 2 days, and just all the air.
Wow.
I won.
That's awesome. Brings it around.
And because of COVID, I'm still the defending champion.
Wow.
And I just loved it because, like Deadbolt, there were a lot of naysayers going,
yeah.
How long you been sailing, Rob?
Yeah, exactly.
In that boat? Good luck, Rob. And we won. And it reminds me of like the first album.
Yeah.
You're just going,
yeah.
Nice. And so will I be out there again in May? I got to go to my boat on Thursday, and I got to do some measurements, size up some stuff.
Yeah.
Fix an engine, and we'll see what happens. But you know what the great part was? Well, it was a team effort.
Yeah.
But it was my boat.
That's right. Captain Rob.
It's Captain Rob. And that was a great feeling.
No, that's cool.
So, and it is a bit of hell raising. I mean, really, it's okay. I gave up a guitar for a boat, but that doesn't mean that there ain't no hell raising involved.
That's right.
And I'm not done yet.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But that's good. It's good validation for the boat, and you went through it and came through for you in the end. Won your first race.
Exactly.
Nice.
Great feeling.
Congratulations. So we're going to bring this around now. The albums that saved us. Okay, so we've got Swamp Angel, What are some of the other albums you would say saved or changed your life? And then pick a couple songs.
Crawling from the Wreckage, Dave Edmunds.
Okay.
I heard that back when I was doing college radio, and I was like, that is a good song. And, 30 years later, it's still a good song. I mean, I can't play it. That's how good a song is. I could do, it's fast chords. I mean, I just love the title, Crawling from the Wreckage, because that's the way I've been, crawling from the wreckage into a brand new car.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That was done by Graham Parker originally, but Dave Edmunds it's a brilliant song. Nick Lowe plays bass on it also. The Jesus of Cool.
Nice.
And I'm like, I guess you could narrow it down by the bands I've seen the most.
Okay.
I think that's a fair judge. I'm going to call it a tie.
Okay.
Because I can't say one's better than the other. One's the Damned.
Yeah.
And I toured with the Damned.
Yeah.
So I've seen the Damned probably 10 times, 10 plus times. And the other band would be the Blasters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From Downey, California. If I had a regret, my one regret was I never got to open for the Blasters. I would have loved that. I would have gone through hell with gasoline shorts on to open for the Blasters. They're absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, great band.
Dave Albin is really now I'm saying that correctly. He's underrated. He's a very underrated songwriter.
Yeah.
Good God. I mean, I think one of my favorite songs, my top favorite songs is 4th of July. X covered it, but Dave Albin wrote it. And he does a good version of it by himself. And if I ever get my guitar, I have a guitar, but I want to get a smaller guitar. If that's the first song, I can play it, but I just let if I'm going to play live or play something like a little acoustic hole in the wall, I'd play that. I'd play 4th of July.
Nice. And what's your favorite Damned song?
I Just Can't Be Happy Today, but I'm happy. It's just a funny song. It's just no, it's not really a funny song. It's just I guess the duality of it.
Yeah.
And the creepy Hammond 3 organ in the background.
Yeah.
And I got to sing that with the Damned.
Wow.
Where the hell were we? We're LA House of Blues.
Nice.
And I'll shorten the story. I just stormed on stage when I heard the opening bass line. I just walked on stage right in front of the captain, and he just they're used to lunacy, and
I can imagine.
And I sang it with him. I sang like a fucking bird. Even at the end, the whoa, 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 whoa,
yeah,
nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And at the end, Dave Vanian's going, whoa, 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 whoa. At the end, just extending the ending of it.
Yeah.
And I just this is true. I just couldn't resist. I just went to 1975 Elvis mode and went to just stretched out into a karate thing, and I just started doing the tiger claw.
Yeah.
Doing the tiger claw. And he just started laughing, and the song ended, and we just we looked at each other and we hugged each other. I'm probably the first person. I don't know. I challenge anybody, find a photo of somebody hugging Dave Vanian.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I may be one of the top 5 probably. And I just was so happy. And I got the photo. I got photographic proof.
Nice.
Well, at least I had photographic proof I was on stage. But that was that's one of the top rock and roll moments for me, to sing I Just Can't Be Happy Today with the Damned. That was pretty fucking cool. The greatest moment, you have to go back to getting signed. And, when the box showed up with your CD and just holding it.
I bet. Yeah.
It's a CD. I did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah, you did.
Back in the old days, I'm sure there were lots of people going, you have no business being in a studio. Well, they're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
I've done a lot of shit in 30 years.
Yeah, you have.
I've had a good run. The funny thing, please, whatever you do, don't. I'm probably talking to your listener. Listener, don't think I've mellowed. You get on a sailboat,
Yeah.
and you're dodging traffic, and you're 5 feet away from smashing into the Richmond Bridge going 10 knots. You know, it's like another way to rebel.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
When we stop rebelling, that's when we have to start getting worried.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was my profound moment.
That's right. Well, so to top it off, anything to add? Anything you haven't said? Anything else you want to say? You just had your profound moment.
The envelope for best female artist is Kelly Willis, Bang Bang. Yes, Kelly Willis, the album Bang Bang. I'm serious.
All right.
Best female vocalist of all time. Best instrumental single for Lovers Only, Southern Culture on the Skids.
Nice.
Southern Culture on the Skids for Lovers Only. And then the question was, it's like, well, what do you call San Diego music? What the hell do you call it? And somebody sent this to me. It's like, you call it gas station attendant rock. And I'm like, that is it.
There you go.
Because what do we all wear? We all wore the short, light Dickies.
Yep.
The black or the navy blue.
Yep.
Light Dickies. I think John Reese might have started it, but boy, all of us, everybody had a Dickie back then. It was kind of like it was the uniform of the day.
But no, thanks. I really appreciate it. It was fun talking to you. You were a gentleman and a scholar. Thanks,
all right,
man.
you old war horse. You take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you too. I probably saw you guys, I'm thinking in the 20s, at least 20 times, probably more. Yeah.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Solid. Yeah.
It's a solid 20.
Yeah. So.
Did you see us at Megalopolis?
I don't think so.
No, that's shame.
Plenty of other spots though.
Oh yeah, one or two.
Maricosa College.
Yeah, it caught us in our prime.
That's right. I was hooked.
Thank you, Doug. Listen, you take care of yourself. Don't
All
be
right.
a stranger.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. All right.
Vaya con Dios.
All right. And also to you.
All right.
All right. Bye, man. Okay.
Bye.
All right. You've been listening to the Albums That Saved Us. And that was my lengthy and informative discussion with the fabulous R.A. MacLean. So you can email me at albumsthatsavedus@gmail.com with feedback, criticism, ideas, albums, bands, musicians you want to hear or talk about. Join the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/albumsthatsaveduspodcast. There's a Facebook group as well. Find me on Twitter, twitter.com/albumsthatsaved, instagram.com/albumsthatsavedus, on YouTube at Albums That Saved Us. If you have any suggestions, bands you want to talk about, let me know. Not sure what's coming up next week. Hopefully it's something cool. If you like Albums That Saved Us, please also help spread the word, share the links, tell some friends, call in and leave a comment or question. See the option in Anchor.